BIC episode number 154. It's the first actual recorded episode in weeks. I don't know if we're 5% more mature, but we're at least 5% less scandalous. The editing gods will take care of that business, but nonetheless. So we're going to do a little recap. I was interested having a conversation before we hit record. The boys don't know about Cole's notes, but they do know about the Cliff's notes. So if you're in the Americanos land, Cliff notes. I am going to introduce the very first Carlos V. Coles/V Cliff's Notes versions. We're going to talk about obviously a topic that has been on the channel quite a bit, but I'm going to give you the short version. I'm going to encapsulate it all, and I've got visual aids. Eric, I got slides. I'm ready. We got production values up the wazoo. Let me tell you, man, it's gonna be crazy. But then once that's complete, we've got all the usual segments back. Silly Card of the Week is back this week, so we're gonna have some brand new Silly Card of the Week. We've got that. We got a handful of pickups, everything post Expo, and then when all that is said and done, we're gonna talk about what the plans are for the rest of 2025, kind of heading into 2026, because we're approaching the mid part of November. We're post Expo. We're post all that. You know, American Thanksgiving is coming up. There's a lot of stuff happening, and then before you know it, it'll be Christmas season. For some people, the Christmas tree has been there for like a week, for like 2 months. They got nothing better to do. It just sits there waiting, lurking, judging, all that and more in this episode of the BIC podcast. Under the watchful eyes of Brett Favre. And I do hate when the Christmas decorations start to judge. It is a problem. Mm-hmm. So I'm here with Eric in the Cave of Crap, and Brandon here, Marcel Dion's real friend.
I'm not falling for your trap. I'm not falling for your trap.
The truth is the truth. Nonetheless, we'll move on. So last couple of weeks we have been live, but we did get a couple of comments on the last episode, so I want to acknowledge that for episode 153. Hodges 1455 said, gave the video a like. Enjoyed the listen as always. Fun that you got some upgrades for your 56 top set, one of my favorite all-time sets, so thank you for that. Zach here says, I was later on YouTube watching Baseball Collectors Live about the Hall of Fame Eras Committee and had no idea you were live until it was almost over. Always got to watch, Zach. We're sneaky like that. Very sneaky.
Or lazy like that, depending on how you look at it.
Let me tell you, Eddie and Carlos appreciated the weeks off. Either way, it works out. And then LGC here actually included some information, said 2 2026 dates confirmed with Expo vendors. Edmonton Expo, April 3rd to 5th, 2026, and the Toronto Expo, April 23rd to 26th. So we'll look into confirming that, but that was included in the comment. Appreciate it either way, and then we'll do confirmations as we get a little bit closer. So regardless, always appreciate the comments. Feel free to leave them on there. We appreciate the engagement either way. Now, there has been a lot of other engagement the last couple of weeks on a variety of different videos, but I'm not going to read them because, if you've been paying attention to the channel, just to give a little bit of an idea here, the first episode that I did with Dan's Vintage Baseball discussing the Beckett Shill bidding podcast episode has 101 comments. I'm not reading all that. That ain't happening. But I have tried my best to read the individual comments. Even my follow-up episode on the part 3, so to speak, the unofficial part 3, where Beckett was talking for himself, that also has 44 comments. So we're pushing nearly 150 comments between those two alone. So let's just say there was a lot of comments involved, a lot of back and forth included in there, and I am not reading all of that, at least out loud. I did look into it when the videos themselves, and I appreciate everybody that engaged with it because, hey, we talk about the engagement, we talk about the participation, we talk about the likes, and both got their fair share of likes. Eric's bill is going to be very generous this time around. The invoice, there's a lot of zeros on that invoice. It's very exciting. Very exciting. Feel free to like this one too. We'll add it. We'll add it to the bill. It'll be great. So we got that on there. So as I mentioned, and as I discussed, so those are the comments. The Silly Card of the Week is back. I don't need to tell you what last week's Silly Card of the Week was because we did take a couple of weeks off while we were kind of in between Expo and everything. So we have Return Ed back with some examples for Silly Card of the Week. And one of them apparently has a story. So we'll get into that here. So let me share with you the cards and then we're getting into it. So Eric, yours will be first. I'll include yours right off the top. All right, so here you got a picture of 2 old guys holding a card.
Yes.
I assume there's more to it, so feel free.
There is. So I did not know this, and I was thrilled to be there when it got all figured out. So on your left, you have Hall of Famer Norm Ullman, and on your right, you have Fringe Hall of Famer Gary Unger. Okay, and I was doing a signing with Norm a true gentleman, by the way. Really enjoyed meeting him and working with him. And Gary walked in and wanted to say hello to him. And so, you know, those two chatted it up for a while, and we kind of paused on Norm's signing. And one of the other guys that are working back there came running in with this card. And for those who may recognize it, that is Gary Unger's rookie card, 1968 O-Pee-Chee. And wanted him to sign it. And I didn't really think much of it, because I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, you're working with them next door. Just have them sign it over there, you know? But I wasn't mad. I was just like, I don't know why you came in here to do it now. Well, here's the cool part. And I will take credit for getting the picture. Everyone started taking pictures once we all figured this out. This is one of those typical O-Pee-Chee cards from that set and that era, where they superimpose people's heads on other people's bodies after a trade. And we found out that on Gary Unger's rookie card, you have Gary Unger's head on Norm Ullman's body. So how often have you had the opportunity to take a picture with a card where this has been the case? So here's the rookie card with the superimposed head, and holding the card, you have the body and the head. So I thought that was super cool. And I asked them, would you guys mind posing with it? Oh, no. So they held it up and everybody started grabbing their phones. So there was like 6 guys that now all have this photo on their phones. And I'll take credit for the idea, but it was somebody else's rookie card that he brought in to get it signed and started talking about it. And that's how I even learned the situation. And they got a kick out of it. They thought that was really neat and cool. So that's my submission, is Gary Unger's rookie card, superimposed head onto Norm Ullman's body, and pulling the Vanna White here are the 2 gentlemen involved on the card.
So, Brandon, I will leave it to the people to choose who is sillier, Norm Ullman or Gary Unger.
I'm just curious why you didn't have, or whoever owned the card didn't have both of them sign
it. That is, you know, it wasn't my card.
Well, if we flipped it over to the back, there's about a 50-50 chance there's an inscription there. I'm not here to talk about the past.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to you.
I did have Gary signed, because I'm trying to put this whole reprint set, rookie card reprint set.
So Eric, can I get you to save that? Can I get you to save that as a pseudo pickup? Can I get you to save that as a pseudo pickup? I just
want to show you that I did try to get one done, and I didn't think of it either. So
yeah, save that one for a minute, because we can do that as a pseudo pickup. Yeah, we can do that as a pseudo pickup here in a minute. So hang on to that for 1 second.
So anyways, if I don't win, I think this is the coolest freaking thing. And if I don't win this week, the fix is in, because that is friggin' cool.
All right, so let me go back here. I'll grab the thumbnails. All right, second one here. We're going with Ted Irvine. So not only is this from St. Louis Blues, we got a slight Photoshop. A little bit of airbrushing. Just, it's subtle. You really have to be like an expert. You have to look closely.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If you see it.
Yeah.
If you can make it out. It's a tough one. I'll grant you. You might need to look at it for a couple moments, but you'll be able to see it. Right now, this era is a gold mine for this. There have been some ridiculously bad examples. Like, there really are some bad examples about it. It is kind of funny. Now, of course, one of the other kind of little side joke about this, and I have explained this to Eric before. Go ahead.
I have a joke. Let me do my joke. I know it's your card. May I please step in? Please
go.
I was going to say, if you look around this gentleman's midsection, you might see Chris Jericho.
Indeed. So he is Chris Jericho's father. So that is a little bonus, a little tie-in for the wrestling, you know. Just want to make sure I cover both angles, Brandon. Include a little bit with the nice airbrushing on there, but there is a little angle with it because that is Chris Jericho's dad. So there you go. All right, last card. Brandon, once again, I don't know. I can't imagine what he's trying to get at. I don't follow.
That's
So this one doesn't really. I don't have a story.
I thought the story
Tops,
was this is what you and the missus do, yoga poses when you go to the gym. I thought this was the deal.
no.
This is so I don't know for sure if this is the base card or the golden mirror. But this is from 2025 Topps update released last week. And this is Denzel Clark's rookie. And I'm assuming he probably robbed Mike Trout because you see the Angels logo down below him of a home run. And Topps decided this would be a good image to put on the card for him. So, yeah.
Indeed.
The theme is silly card of the week, and that's a pretty damn silly photo.
There you go. So I will include a community post on the channel. You will all be able to get a chance to see it. You will be able to make your selection on this week's silly card of
I'm
the
also
week.
curious
Vote
if
early.
that's the base card.
Yeah. Vote early. Vote often. It is the only true democracy in this world. Back again this week. All right. So real quick, we'll do pickups, and then I'll get into a quick thing that I wanted to share with you. So we'll get into that. Pickups wise, nothing too crazy. I'll share a couple really quick, and then obviously I think you guys have a few that you can probably bring to the table as well. So I'll be quick on mine, and then we'll get into anything that you've got that you want to share. So bear with me a second here. I will.
That is the golden mirror. So I was correct.
There you go. So we got a couple of Medanos here. I was able to grab a couple on the eBays, but then that'll kind of play into my main topic discussion here in a couple of minutes. So first one is a stature, just the autograph on there, green version, number at 65. I have a bunch of the other ones for the subset, but I actually didn't have a lot of the autographs for this particular type. The stature cards look nice. They did a good job with them. I think a lot of these are updates. I don't think they included it in the original year with this design because the original version doesn't have an autograph variant, but they did so, I believe, in an update version. And then this one, I just came across it by accident. I have a couple of versions of this card, a few of the parallels for it. This is, I guess, kind of the purple out of 15. It's also jersey numbered, which is kind of a little bonus, but that isn't the reason I bought it. The reason I bought it is I came across it, and it was out of 15, and it was comfortably under $20. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll take that. And local seller, so the shipping was a little bit cheap as well. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll take it. And again, that'll play into the
I think it's funny how they did the design and like everything is colored out, and then they left that little window for that nice lady back there watching the game to peek through.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all about the design, man. All the upper deck designers.
I think that might be a good silly card. That's kind of silly.
Yep. All right. So, is there anything you guys would like to share in terms of pickups?
So I'll share mine. I got a Topps rookie card in the mail, and then I'll share this one digitally because it hasn't came in the mail, but I picked up the gold bullion from Metal Universe Jason Robertson, so who has been playing pretty well.
I want to make fun of you. I can't at this moment because that kid in the last couple of games or so has been on fire.
Yep.
And I really want to make fun of you. I want to do the pump. I want to do all sorts of horrible things to you, but that kid is on a tear. And Carlos is on mute, so I can't understand what he says.
I was about to say, what kind of horrible things? What are you getting at?
Oh, just the typical horrible things, especially with his moniker underneath there, which is
wow, just wow.
All right, so, since you did something nice, I'll remove it.
That kid's on fire. All right, and for his sake, the team's sake, your sake, I hope he just continues to rip it up. But I don't know how you continue on the trend that kid is on right now. I mean, the kid is what, like, how many points does he have in the last 2 games? Like 9 or something? I mean, just
in the last 3, he's had 9.
yeah, I mean, it's just kid is just ripping it up right now. So maybe he's finally ready to go to that next level.
He's had 6 goals in the last 3 games.
So maybe, maybe he's just having a good stretch, or maybe he's ready to go to that next level. So
Well, I'm going to tell you, outside of him, so the team, I think they're on their 6th straight win, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're in a run right now. Yep.
But the thing that, like, obviously they got a new coach and everything else. They started off strong, then it looked like they cooled off, and it looks like they're pulling back together. But they still have a couple players injured. But the goaltending, the other night against Montreal, when DeSmith played, that was surprising. I mean, he just shut Montreal completely down, and the team just, what was it, 7-0, I think, final. And then the last game, like, Ottinger come in, and the Flyers didn't score till late in the game, so we almost had back-to-back shutouts with 2 different goalies, which looks great to keep that momentum. Obviously it's early in the season, but if they can keep playing like that, that bodes well for later on with both of them having, being really good at goalie. So
Indeed. Eric, what would you like? Would you like to share something in the pickups?
Well, yeah, I'll just go on to what I was saying earlier, but I mean, I still have all my Expo stuff in this box mostly, and I'm going to be doing a little bit at a time for the next, God knows how long, next month or so. Expo pickups from, so we were talking about that Gary Unger rookie, and I was saying that my goal is to get this set. It's a 2002 Topps Archive set of rookie cards. Okay, all reprints, to get them signed. Okay, and I have a lot, and most of them I've gotten in person because all of these guys are still alive. And there's Norms that I had him do for me the other day. All right, so actually, no, that's not one. This is, sorry, that's somewhere else. I had a second one done. This is the actual autograph one that comes out of the pack. So I don't know where the other one is right now. But all these other ones I've got to do. So there's Gary Unger's that I had done. So that's the card with his head on Norm's body. So I had that done. And I also had, since I was able to have access to him, I got Steve Schutz. He signed that for me. So I'm working on this whole set of, Trottier. I met, I think, was it last year? I worked with Trottier like a year ago up there, so I got that done. Glenn Hall, we have a relationship with him at the shop, so I mailed this to him. That one I bought. Bernie, Yannick was with me when I got that done. That was another one of those situations where I invited Yannick to something, introduced him to a French Canadian player, and they started doing the blue, blah, blah. And I just stood there like an idiot.
The last portion of it is a pretty common occurrence, though.
Well, yeah, especially when I introduce him to French Canadian players and they do the blue, blah, blah. So I'm like double idiot.
In fairness, hold on, to be fair, that happens oftentimes when people speak normal English. You barely understand that.
I understand. That's why I said double idiot.
Just saying.
Then we got Johnny Busick, which I got myself. Jerry Cheevers got myself. Had him do 2 because I'm greedy. Andy Moog, which I'm friendly with, so I had him do that. This is another one that came out of the pack. Marcel, obviously, I had him do that. I had him do it in red, which I think really popped. So Marcel did that for me a couple of years ago. This is the Steve Shutt. Eddie Johnston, we know him very well. So when he was in the shop, we did that. Reggie Leach, I think I bought this one. I've yet to meet him. Looking forward to it someday. Brian Prop, I have not met him yet. I heard he had a stroke and he's recovering. Eddie Westfall, I've
Pick one or two more, Eric. We can split it up into a couple of
Yeah.
shows. Pick one or two more.
Well, you know, we got time, right? I mean, this Sage I had done myself, and I don't know, Kenny Hodge I had done, and it just goes on and on and on. So it's something I've been working on. Terry O'Reilly, I had him do that in his own living room. That was a cool day. I went to Terry's house and had him sign a ton of stuff for work and for me. And I got him to do 2 of those again because I'm greedy.
And it's completely a coincidence, Brandon, that after he left Terry O'Reilly's house, that he has some new furniture and
You know,
possibly a new vase.
So he may kill me for this, but I have to ask. Every time that I see like the Marcel cards, did you happen to become friends with Marcel just by accident because you were looking for Bobby and thought that Marcel was the Burrell?
No, that's a nice conspiracy theory, but no, Marcel is.
Well, we've heard the conspiracies with, you know, you met this guy, but he was a janitor, and
That
I
happens
was
a lot.
like, you know, there's some little bit of similar resemblance there between the
He met
Burrell
Ray
and
Bork, but he's
Marcel.
actually a zombie and he died.
I thought maybe you were like moseying around looking for Bobby. You went up to Marcel, started talking to him, thinking it was Bobby. And
Well,
it was
since you
like,
two are best friends now, why don't you go ask him how he and I became acquaintances? Because obviously he and I are not friends any longer. You have taken over that spot. So next time, you know, you're texting him and calling him on the phone. Why don't you ask him how he met me and knows me? Maybe next time you're out to dinner with him.
Brandon, what we should do one of these days is we should, if you get a chance to meet him again, we make arrangements and we fix this so that you FaceTime him. Right on a phone. Phones are for peasants. No, you FaceTime him live and right on the show. We just do it all in one shot. We do it live. That's the play. Anyway, we'll do more pickups in the upcoming
send
weeks
him the
here because
StreamYard link.
oh yeah, it'll be great.
Mute Eric and put him in timeout.
Yeah, he's just sitting there. It's like, nope, you don't get to say anything. We literally just put him in the corner.
I keep saying this, but I mean it this time. I am not introducing any more people to any of you anymore. No more.
Don't do us any more favors. Anyway, moving on. All right. So real quick, I wanted to encapsulate the last couple of weeks. Some of the most popular videos on the channel the last couple of weeks have come off of this topic. But I thought, because I've been listening around, and some people are not completely understanding necessarily, because one of the key tenets, and we've talked about this before, so I want to kind of lead with this. And if you gentlemen will indulge me, I want to share a little bit here. But one of the things that we always talk about, the life cycle of controversies and stories in the hobbies is short. And we talk about regularly how stuff happens or people do something or they say something or whatever. And if you just apologize or if you just go away for a little while, it blows over super, super fast. And I think one of the things that was creating some confusion, but there's a good reason for it, and I'll explain, is that the whole story has continued to have legs on it. But the reason for that is because there's been multiple layers to this. And that is where I felt that the visuals and what I'm about to show you may be a little bit helpful here to kind of get us all on the same page. Because the thing is, if it had just been one thing, it would have blown over by now. So when it's not blowing over by now, then you should be asking yourself and thinking about like, wait, why? All the other stuff blows over super quick, Brandon. So why hasn't this already run through the cycle? Well, the answer was there were more layers and more stuff kept getting put on top of it. And it just continued to add to it. And basically, you know, extended bidding, if you will accept that kind of playing into it. And that's what was happening, is that every time we had a chance where it would go out, then something else would layer on top of it and add another thing to it and another thing. And that is why it kept extending beyond the normal half-life of one of these stories. So I mentioned that, guys, you know, apparently in the States, it's mostly Cliff Notes, but in Canada, we had what's called Coles Notes. Same idea, same principle. Like, you remember the old little booklets. Now you got to be old enough for this because the kids aren't going to be into that, but they had the little books. If you didn't want to read the proper full version of a book, it would give you the short version. It would tell you about the characters. It would give you the plot points and the themes and all that. It'd be kind of a cheat sheet, so to speak, but in book form to give you all the information you need.
Explain what a book is to the kids.
I might have to one of these days, but today we're gonna save it. For now, though, I will begin by giving you a little rundown here because I've got a few slides. So we're gonna get into this. It's gonna be very exciting. So let me share this with you. Let's go Chrome tab version here. Let's see, can I do it this way? Yes, perfect. Yes, I can. Beautiful. So here is the Coles Notes version of the Shill and Eric, look, production values. Even the title has been custom made onto this Coles Notes.
I think you broke a rule.
I had to, Eric. I got to educate the people. I got to educate the children. They need to know.
Rule number 6 has been broken.
They got to know. They got to.
Damn, this is $3.95 that we're giving the people.
I know. It's wild. All right, here we go. So let me get into this. So the entire timeline, I'm going to give you a little rundown here. No, it's a little small. It's okay. I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to give you the rundown. So gentlemen, bear with me. It's going to take me a moment, but I'll go through this. Here's the thing. It breaks. It's three phases. I'll explain all 3 phases. So there was the initial thing. The first thing was the PRyan collection on Instagram. He shared an Instagram post which showed where he was trying to promote one of the auctions for an item that he had consigned. And that's, that's pretty standard procedure. That happens in a lot of things. That's fine. But in the post, it showed that he was outbid. So immediately people started asking the question, hey, what's going on with this? So obviously it becomes clear very quickly that he had bid on his own item. So what happens? He does an Instagram post where he kind of tries to explain himself, and then the Instagram post gets pulled down. Okay, that's the first phase. Now, important, a couple of details that I'm going to include in here. Why was he able to do that in the first place on the Fanatics Collect platform? Because you can't technically bid on your own stuff. The system wouldn't allow you to do it. The answer is he consigned it with the acquire.co platform. That platform is co-founded, so it's a consigner that worked with them. It's co-founded by Jesse Craig. Jesse Craig previously of PWCC. PWCC, who was previously banned on eBay for alleged shill bidding, for those that remember. This has been some time now. It's back in 2021. I'll include a link in the description just to give you a little reminder in case you need a refresher. So it kind of an interesting person to be associated with this, but we'll go from there. So he pulls down the Instagram explanation, takes it down. Okay. And then we have part 1 of the Beckett podcast. So on Beckett's podcast platform, he decides to bring him on to explain himself. This is all still part of phase 1. Okay. So this is all still in that first section. This is important now. When it comes to phase 1, if that's all it was, if say he had just been caught with that and he said, hey, sorry guys, my bad, shouldn't have happened, gives a little bit of an explanation, kind of an apology, and then takes a little breather, guess what? It blows over in a couple of days. That would be the expectation. That's normally what happens. It happens all the time. Sorry to say it happens all the time, because the people that say, oh, shill bidding, that happens a lot. You're right. But if that's all it was, Brandon, hold on. I want to finish and go all the way through. We'll come back to it at the end. Hang on. I want you guys to ask any questions or thoughts at the end. Hang with me. So if that's all it is initially, and we just stop there, it ends in a couple of days. But this is weeks ago now. Okay, the Beckett podcast thing. Okay, that adds another layer. Well, that'll add a little bit more time to it. Why? Because number 1, Beckett doing it of all people. Number 2, what Beckett said on the podcast, which we covered extensively. So on the channel, Dan's Vintage Baseball and myself go into detail on that entire podcast and break it down all the way through. Dan is actually a lawyer with 35 years experience in criminal law and everything. He gave some legal insights. I provided a little back and forth with him. We went over it with a fine-tooth comb. So if you want to check it out on the channel, that is a video that's on there. I'll put a link in the description to it. That's phase 1. Again, if it was just these 2 things though, even with the Beckett layer tacked onto it, maybe a week and a half. But there was also part 2. In the part 2, it didn't really add anything new per se. And Beckett kind of admitted to some stories where he's kind of saying that he had inquired about the possibility of bidding on stuff that he had consigned. And then we invoke Probstein. And again, I'm giving you guys a very high level. I just want to get you through this. I don't want to spend all day on this. I want to give you the short version. So, okay, so we got some complexities here. Fine. Let's move to phase 2. Again, if we were just sticking to phase 1, it would have probably run its course maybe in about a week, give or take, depending on how long it was between the 2 things. Phase 2. So now there's some backlash. We had the 2 episodes. It's not really going over well. So what happens? Well, PRyan Collection has 2 different, I think the other one is called Uncut Cardboard on Instagram. That is a social media account that he also has. It's labeled as him, but he has it. On that social media post, he suddenly starts making, this is while the expo is going on, he starts making a bunch of accusations. And he's throwing out that a gentleman named GW, which a lot of people believe to be Geoff Wilson, and then Teapot, which he does name by name, also of Market Movers, manipulated prices on cards they collect. So on the screen, I'm including a screenshot from Teapot's own where he took a screenshot of it. And on the screenshot there from Uncut Cardboard, it says Shill better, exclamation point. I'm going to read it to you, just what it says on the screen. Protects Pistons prison prices, exclamation points. Bad man, should go to jail. Bad representation of the sports card investor brand. Caught red-handed, manipulating low-end Piston prices. Jail, bad man. I will not forgive you. So pompous. I will die with this grievance. Bad man. Very, very emphatic.
Bad man.
So, Drummond Collector, which is Teapot, of course, defends himself because he's saying, okay, so he's saying, I didn't do that. Where's the evidence? He gives like a 15-minute video where he talks about it and explains himself. He ends up going on Sports Card Radio. He ends up going on EDI Sports Cards. Now, this is all happening in a very short period of time. These posts that the screenshot includes all get taken down. Then another series of posts gets posted on the PRyan collection where he's apologizing to everybody in creation short of Eric. Everyone in creation is getting an apology short of Eric.
I wanted mine.
And you're not getting it still. So posts all these posts, shows all these apologies. Fine. But no apology for Teapot, no apology for Geoff Wilson, and no apology for Eric. Devastating. Tough times. So they all get taken down. Teapot is on the EDI Sports Card channel, now making the rounds, kind of speaking his case. By this point, he's turned the audience back in his favor because he showed some of his bidding history. He kind of explained it. He goes, sounds ridiculous. And also no evidence is being, this was an accusation that was thrown out. No evidence has been shown. We're not seeing it. On the EDI podcast, so I'm going to share this with you. So let me back out of this for 1 second. On the EDI podcast, and this is straight from it. It's a screenshot of it for you. Patrick Ryan released through that an apology. So there's Teapot on the screen. And in the course of that, he gives an apology. I'll read it really quick. I did read it on the Friday Live, but I'll do it again one more time quickly here. On Sunday night, I posted unsubstantiated claims against Teapot and Geoff Wilson, being individuals who protected the value of cards they owned by having others bid on them. That was wrong, and I apologize to them. As a sign of sincerity and a sign of appreciation for the great work the Sports Card Investor team has done in the world of nonprofits, I made a $50,000 donation to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta in their honor. During my hiatus from Sports Card social media, I'd like to remind people to not let moments of vulnerability make them subject to compromising their moral grounds. The good news is the hobby is full of many great people. I consider Geoff and Teapot squarely in that category. The bad news is there are some unethical people in the hobby who try to take advantage of you. Also, I'd like to share, since many texted asking that my mom is well on her way to a full recovery. He did also mention that his mom was having some health issues after being in a life-threatening car accident last weekend. Be there for your family whenever possible. The prayers and well wishes of so many was very powerful. Again, my apologies to Geoff and Teapot. I'm excited to continue to watch the great charity work they do as an example to everyone, myself especially. Okay. I'm including all these things under this phase 2 because this is what I'm calling the drama phase. So if you're into, the drama side of things, that segment of it, which a lot of people really are, this extends the story. Obviously, we started off with phase 1, which was one thing that could have blown over, but then we've got, social media storms, a crash out, and then it gets pulled down, and now we got an apology, and, Teapot has to defend himself, and we got all these things going on. That's phase 2. That, of course, extends the time. It adds more time. During the course of this, there's still more things going on, but for now, that's kind of your phase 2. Also, in the course of phase 2, Beckett follows up with a third episode talking about shill bidding. This is the unofficial part 3 because it's just himself. It's not him and Patrick Ryan. He's trying to explain himself, give a little bit. Again, on this channel, I break that whole thing down. I've got a specific video where I go through the whole thing and I talk about some inconsistencies with the previous one. Link in the description. I cover all that. Okay? It's phase 2. I got one more. Phase 3. So now you're going to be asking yourself, so Brandon, we've already got phase 1 and phase 2. We got some drama for people. We had the initial thing. It could have blown over, but it was extended because of all the drama and all the rest of that stuff. But now, why is it even still a thing? It should have blown over already, and it could have. But now we've got the downstream impact because all this going on and it being Beckett and it made a lot of people suddenly pay a little bit more attention to this stuff. So a lot of people say, oh, the shill bidding's been going on forever, blah, blah, blah. You're not wrong, but the one thing that has been a consequence of this is it has prompted some people to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the auction houses themselves and the infamous terms and conditions. Because people don't check terms and conditions. They just kind of, I agree to it, whatever. So I'm giving you a couple of examples here. So because of all that, people started looking at the terms and conditions. I'm giving you an example of 2 videos here. The one on the far end is actually an older video. It's like 11 months old from Blue Jacket 66. We talked about that. I'll include a link in the description for you. And then the more recent one is from 3D80s Kid, who actually went and looked at maybe about 14, 15 auction houses and was checking their terms and conditions. And what he found and again, as people start to dig into it a little deeper, is that in some auction houses, there's minimal language talking about shield bidding, or they rely on their state laws regarding it. They don't really say anything explicitly about it. And other ones include the ability where you can, in fact, as the consigner, bid yourself, and that is included in the terms and conditions. Some other ones, though, include what's called house bids, so mechanisms for house bidding. And I'm actually going to show you an example of that in a minute. But the point is, house bidding allows you to create, if you're the consigner, it allows you to create kind of an invisible reserve, which means that a lot of people who just kind of downplay the shield bidding is like, well, yeah, it's been going on forever, blah, blah, blah. It was like, okay, but what if it's the auction platform itself that's bidding against you? It's not even a person. You're bidding against an entity that is basically designed and trying to basically bid to ensure that the bidding gets to a certain point. You're not bidding against anyone except the machine, so to speak, in this case. And I'll actually read you an example of this exact same term straight from one of the terms and conditions. And I'll leave a link in the description to it for you. So this is something that even the auction house folks that participate in it regularly, a lot of them didn't actually know this was included in the language, where actually in the terms and conditions, you technically agreed to it. You said the auction house can do this. And there are a few more of those than people thought that were involved in it. So this is the current phase that we're in now. Now some people are starting to learn for the first time exactly what's available and what you're actually allowed to do, because it wasn't always clear. So real quick, before I go, so those are the 3 slides. I'm going to share a tab here. This is Mile High Card Co. So they're ones who do, this is one of the auction houses that's out there that does different kinds of auctions. I want to put your attention here to this second section here, talking about bidding. I'm going to read you real quick. This is again, right from their terms and conditions, and I'll leave you a link for it. This is their rules. It says each and every lot in the auction does have a minimum bid designated in both catalog as well as online. A very few of the lots in the auction have a reserve price. Please note the vast majority of the lots within the auction do not have a reserve price. A reserve price is the confidential minimum price that a consignor will accept before they sell the material. That means that a bid of equal or greater than the confidential reserve must be placed for a successful bid to be accepted on that lot. MHCC may implement this reserve by bidding on behalf of the consignor and may place a bid up to the amount of the reserve by placing successive bids if necessary. That's in black and white, straight from the auction's terms and conditions. So the reason why it's dragged up until this point, Brandon, is a combination of all these things layered on top of each other, one after another. That's why I've turned it into phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We're now in the 3rd phase. And one of the arguments is like, well, does it lead to any change? Well, look, not my favorite. Eric knows this. Old Jay Lee himself is writing a book. And if you don't believe me, check out last Saturday's live stream, because he only says it 450 times. So just in case you didn't know, he's writing a book. And in the book, he's an appendix. And in the appendix, he talks about various terms and conditions with different auction houses. And in the course of writing it, he reached out to certain auction houses who then said, oh, we didn't have enough clarity on that. Let us modify this and make it a little bit clearer. So some auction houses have already modified their terms and conditions to kind of be a little bit more explicit. It is that last section, though. It is that example that I just gave you. A lot of people didn't know, Eric, that you might not be bidding just against a potential shill bidder, not from a third party. It can be the auction house itself greasing the wheels and pushing down the scale against you. So you're bidding against the machine. You're not bidding against anybody except a predetermined amount where the fix was in before you even got a chance to start. Okay, so that took me a little bit of time. I understood there was a lot going on there. That still, believe it or not, that was still the Coles Notes version, because I have 2 videos, one an hour and a half and another 40 minutes, just breaking down the Beckett conversation. I just broke it down for you within a couple of minutes, relatively speaking, much shorter. So there you go. All right, please, thoughts or comments. Is there anything clear that I missed or anything else that you feel would be appropriate to add?
Well, one thing early on, and you mentioned Teapot had did this. Phase 1 would have been over and done with if the explanation / apology, whatever you want to call it, when it was called out that, hey, why does this say that you were outbid and you're sitting here showing your own item? You know, what the hell is going on? Why did you bid on your item? If he legitimately had no guilt, no misintent, nothing like that, and it was solely just an accident that he was on bidding on a bunch of stuff, not paying a damn bit of attention, the acquirer didn't notify him, he didn't know that that was his card, Why has he not shown the bid history? That would have been the clear cut. Look, it was a mistake. I'm sorry. Here's the proof. I bid one time. I was immediately outbid. This was the amount. There was no ill intent. None of that. Instead, he says that he looked at it as, well, it's a way I could track my card. I contacted the auction or the acquirer to get a list of my stuff, but I still failed to tell them that I actually placed the bid on this because they probably wouldn't have cared anyway. Like, if it was just an accident, then why didn't you just say, why didn't you just tell them, and why didn't you just share the bid? Like, that would have cleared your freaking name. Yes, it would have been wrong. It would have looked a little fishy, but you would have proven all of the evidence that would have been needed to say, yeah, okay, shit happened. It's like the person that wants to cancel a bid or cancel an auction that they went on eBay because their child bid on it. Their child got their phone or the iPad and went on and started bidding and buying shit, right? Would have been the same thing. It sounds unbelievable, but if you got the proof, cool, no biggie.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was one more thing. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
All I was going to say is I did forget one thing, Eric, in phase 2. I was trying to make sure I got everything in under, within the window that I was trying to shoot for. There was one thing I did forget. In the immediate backlash after the first podcast episode, there were some videos that were taken down that were commenting on it. Mm-hmm. And those videos came as a result of third parties reaching out and strongly suggesting they get taken down. So take of that as you will. Yes, some threats were given. And now people did ask me, like during the lives and everything, you were there when we were talking about it. And people asked me, did anybody reach out to you asking you to take your video down? And the answer was no, nobody did. Now, we covered basically just the facts and we gave our opinions based on the information provided. And then it probably helps that Dan pretty much had his end of it. He was covering the legal end of it. I was covering kind of the optics and the rest of that conversation. But the point is, that is an important point, though. In that phase 2, going back, the reason why I broke it up into 3 phases, there were 3 distinct eras. There were like 3 off-ramps that we could have gotten off, Eric. In phase 1, there was an off-ramp. Even after the Beckett podcast, there was still an opportunity to get off the road if you wanted to. If at that point you just accept that you're getting that backlash, you're getting that feedback, people are not into what you're saying, maybe you quit while you're behind. If you just kind of let it be at that point, okay. Honestly, it would have died down already by now. Phase 2 made it more dramatic because now you're getting videos and posts pulled down. That's more dramatic.
You're trying to strong-arm people discussing it.
Correct. And now so what you're doing, Eric, is you're extending the life of the story because now you're adding another layer to it that wasn't there previously. And then on top of it, you had the Instagram, all the Instagram stories. First, you're laying accusations. Then all of a sudden you pull those down. Then you bring a bunch of apologies and you're basically burying us in those. And then you apologize through a third party. So you extended the lifespan of the whole thing. And then, like I said, Beckett wasn't doing himself any favors either. He was kind of creating his own problem for himself that he didn't have. So the 2 combined, along with the rest of it, and now we're on to the auction house phase, which is the 3rd one, because now people are looking at some of these auction houses with a little bit of a side eye. Because they're like, wait, that's in your policy? I just read you, Eric, one of the actual policies of one of the actual auction houses, and it says explicitly, it says, we can bid on behalf of the consignor. Without any of the bidders really knowing. And you think you're bidding against somebody, Eric. You're bidding and you're getting outbid and you have no idea who's doing it. Well, it turns out the house is literally the one doing it.
So that part I found interesting because I believe right on this podcast, or it was a Friday show or something, I have stated before that I was always concerned with the bigger auction houses because they have that extended bidding period and everything else. And how do we not know that they don't have access to the data of a bid that we place to where they could literally run it up just below our maximum bid or whatever? That always concerned me. The statement of the MHHC, I think is what it was.
Yeah, the Mile High. It's the Mile High, that one. Yeah.
Why, if you want a reserve, then you're you're in essence saying that, okay, there's a reserve here, and if it's not naturally bid to that reserve point to where the item sells, then we're going to trigger the reserve. The problem with these auction houses is, and I haven't heard anyone discuss this, but it's not just the price of the item that gets bumped. Like, I'll tell you straight up, the heritage auctions, when I bid on and bought the stuff from them, the buyer's premium was 25%. And when you get to some of these high levels, if it's a $5,000 increase and you're adding on 25% onto that, that's a hefty chunk of money. It's not just raising $5,000. You're adding, what is that, $1,250 more on top?
Mhm.
Like, that's not chunk change. And who gets that? The house. So I don't know why, if you want to reserve, just the reason with the Walking Dead stuff, they had the reserve set at the opening bid. Like, even the stuff that didn't get bid on, it was put at post auction and you could buy it at opening bid. So they essentially said, all right, this is what the minimum we'll take for it, but it's also the opening starting price. Why don't they just do that? I don't know. It's all a crazy bowl of shit.
Yep. Now, real quick, Eric, before I get you to comment, because you were about to, so real quick, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun. I did read you a section from this, and again, I'll leave the link in the description for you. You can go take a look at it yourself. This is as the time of recording. I'm looking at the site right now. It's in their page of rules. This is the next sentence after the part I read you already. This is the very next sentence, right after successive bids if necessary. In the limited instances where Mile High Card Co. or MHCC, I think it's just Mile High Card Co. Yeah, Mile High Card Company, has a financial interest in a lot beyond our commission, we may place a bid to protect our financial interest. Reserves when in place will be predetermined and set within the auction software prior to the start of the auction. Again, so just to be clear, real quick, with the showing of hands, who normally reads terms and conditions on software, auction houses, websites, anything? Showing of hand, who reads terms and conditions? Yep, that's what I thought. The majority of people don't. Now, like I said, going back earlier, so some people ask, what's the takeaway of this? Shill bidding happens all the time. What's the big deal? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's bad, but, what are we going to do? Well, the thing is, Eric, if nothing else, it did force some people to take a second look at that thing and go, wait a minute, you allow what? It's in writing that you can do what? To who? To where? I didn't agree to this. It's like, well, actually, you did agree to it. And that, I think, was an eye-opener, Eric, even to the people that participate in auctions regularly that probably didn't read that. Thoughts?
Yeah, and that's what they're hoping for, of course, because nobody other than maybe complete psychopaths sit down and read pages and pages and pages of fine print when they are trying to get something done on the computer, right? I mean, these things get thrown at us all the time. Every time there's an update on your computer, every time you want to sign up for something, it's just move on. I got things to do. So that's what they're hoping for. And all these companies hide things in there to protect themselves. And, these companies, like all companies, are in the business to make money. They are not in the business to lose money. There's an old saying, the house always wins. There's a reason why casinos, for example, are so big and beautiful. And it's like, do you know how many millions upon millions of dollars it takes to make casinos look this good and the hotels to go along with it to be so good? And, just look at the lights and the electricity bill. They can afford it because the house always wins. And these auction companies are in the business to make money. Whether it is a $5 card or a $50,000 card, they want to make money off of it. They want their cut. And if they can find a way to make more money, even off that $5 card, and make 50 cents on it instead of 25, they're going to do it. And if they're gonna, sneak something in the back door there in the fine print, that's what they can do. And I'm sure their lawyers said, as long as it's in writing someplace and the people have an opportunity to read it, you can do whatever you want. And it's no one should be shocked by any of this. You can be mad about it. You can be frustrated about it. You can think it's not fair. You can think it's not right. You can think that it's that you can have an opinion that it should be illegal. You can have all sorts of opinions on it, but their lawyers, they pay their lawyers a lot of money to make sure that they can get away with this stuff. And the only way, and I've said this a million times, to get a company's attention is with your wallet.
Well, Eric, though, in the instance of the terms and conditions, though, how are you going to vote with your wallet if you don't know what you actually agreed to?
Well, and again, it is our responsibility to do better in reading those things, but they know that we're not going to do it. We're inundated with them. We're flooded with them. We're sick of reading them. They're multi-pages long, and all the good stuff that's pro for the company and bad for us are hidden in there and in the middle of page 5, paragraphs 10 and 11. And yeah, we're not going to do it. And that's what they're counting on.
The real question, Eric, is how many times have you signed away your chocolate sticks and not even known it?
It scares me to think. I'm frightened to even imagine it.
Your chocolate sticks are in peril as we speak. We can't be for sure. Mile High might already have a claim to them, and you don't even necessarily work with them. Like, that's how bad it is. They might have already laid claim to them. They might be theirs now. Think about it.
I don't want to think about it. That's too scary.
Yep. So, Brandon, hopefully people enjoyed. That was the Cole's Notes version, or Cliff's Notes, whatever you prefer, or Spark Notes, if you're extra fancy, version of the last couple of weeks. And that's the reason why. So we, some auction houses' terms and conditions have been updated and modified, but now it does lead, obviously, if you are participating in these auction houses, now you probably might want to look into those terms and conditions. One of the links I will leave you is the 3D80s Kid one. He, like I said, he reviewed 14 or 15 different auction houses, and he actually put together a chart that includes basically which ones have house bids, like in the examples that I gave. This was one of them that included that, and I actually read you the verbiage on that one specifically. But he does include on the chart which ones have that, what the commissions are, what the certain fees are. So he does actually, in a nice little chart, lay out some of that stuff for you to at least give you a little bit of a shortcut, give you a little bit of a hand in identifying certain ones. If you use any of those, it may be worthwhile to look into that information, and I will include those references in the description for your benefit if you want to check them out.
I was curious in that, and I don't know if you want to pop that screen back up or not, but when they said something along the lines of, if we have a financial connection to this
interest, a financial interest,
yep, other than commission, what, I don't understand. How else could you have it? You're an auction house. You take other people's stuff and you put it up for auction.
What if you make a guarantee? What if you've already kind of offered like a prepayment guarantee? So now you are incentivized specifically to make sure that it hits a certain number.
And
some of them also
go ahead.
Some of them also will, if I understood it correctly, because with the whole heritage thing, I was reading some of it and everything. I didn't go through everything. And some of it, it could be a little bit hard to understand at times.
You might have also signed off Eric's chocolate sticks. That's how bad it is.
Brandon.
But I think that some of the auction places, you can kind of do this. Let's say you bid, you won some stuff, right? You can get an appraisal for some of the stuff that you might want to sell. Yep. They'll give you like an appraisal, professional appraisal of it, and then you can put that up as like collateral. Or whatever to pay for what you've won. Yeah. So that would also, I guess, be kind of an
incentive beyond the commission.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So to answer your question, Eric, there are some weird, like there are some edge cases that certain auction houses will participate in that allow them to have more of an interest in it. One of the ones though that I gave, it's just an example. Like I said, at the end of the day, there's many examples we could probably come up with. But one of the examples though is what if an auction house, and this is where, so to be clear, it's not my job to be outraged about it. At the end of the day, Eric, it is what it is. Like I'm not ignoring the fact that this is reality of it. And it's funny because a lot of people seem to assume that if you know these things, then you can't enjoy the hobby. You can't do both at the same time. I kind of get a kick out of it. I'm kind of amused by it. But at the same time, like you unfortunately, some of this stuff is buried in the fine print, so to speak. But I guess this is good because some people now are getting an opportunity, Eric, to learn for the first time. Hey, by the way, it's in writing. You might want to know that because that might be important. You might want to know what you're actually agreeing to and what you're signing off to. And then now that you know that, now you can choose if you want to continue to do business with them under these terms. Because if you're not comfortable with these terms, maybe you take your business elsewhere. And kind of to your question though, if, and this is, I'm not pinning it specifically to my eye, but I'm saying if an auction house, I don't care which one it is, if any of them as a consignor, they're offering you any kind of a guarantee or telling you, then the question becomes, and it would be a logical question to ask is, okay, but how is it that you're going to make sure that that happens? And like I said, in this case, there seem to be some mechanisms in place. That's why I say it's not just the show bidding in the sense of, okay, I get my buddy to bid on my stuff to make sure it goes up a little bit. And you went through the trouble. This is systematic. This is the actual house itself doing the work for you. You guys agreed on a number that you're happy with, and they're actually acting on your behalf to make sure. It says, may implement this reserve by bidding on behalf of the consignor. That is verbatim, on behalf of the consignor, and may place a bid up to the amount of the reserve by placing successive bids as necessary. So somebody could be thinking they're winning an auction. They can get over the reserve, and the only person they were competing with, Eric, was air. It wasn't a real bid. It wasn't a real auction. You were bidding against air. So forget about the third party. There was no, it was the auction house and you. Those were the only two that were participating in it. And the consignor's sitting there going, I got my number.
And we discussed this a little bit on Friday, and it was one of, I believe it was one of the two of you that, had a decent argument and, to the other side of the coin of why they do it this way. But I still think that if you want to, you have a reserve, just start the damn bidding at that reserve number. You want $500 for the item, start it at $500 and go from there. And maybe you'll get 6, maybe you'll get 7. People really want it, but you'll guaranteed your money. I don't understand if you got, I'm just making up numbers. You got a reserve on a hidden reserve for $500. Why are you starting the bid at 10? And then you're in there, you see someone bids 10. Well, you're all of a sudden you're bidding 20. Now you're now watch my fingers now. Okay. Forcing them to bid 30, which they maybe wouldn't have done, unless someone challenged them. And you're going to do that all the way up till you get your 500. I think it's wrong. I don't think that's ethical. And I think you should just start it at the number that you want. I think that's fair that if you have a number you want, start it there and let people fight it out after that. Starting it super low, I've seen bids on eBay for years that had these hidden, and not so much now, but in the past, definitely, they had these reserves, reserve not met, and there's these huge numbers, but they started the bids off at 99 cents. It's like, this is utterly stupid. So I never understood it. I've never been a fan of it. I understand, I think it was one of you guys on Friday said it, it's to get, people's juices flowing and the adrenaline going, and
to build momentum. But that's the same. So that's the same argument, Eric, for those house bids, because those additional, remember, as the bidder,
nobody
the
likes to lose.
Yeah, but the other thing, Brandon, just think about it. As the bidder, you don't know who is placing the bids. All you're seeing is that there are more bids being placed. So you're seeing the bid number go up. So in your brain, remember, we're altering variables here. In your brain, you're sitting like, oh man, I'm in a bidding war. And again, that's why I use this example in this specific case, because I thought it would be a little bit more instructive. In this case, you're bidding against air and you don't even realize it. So you're thinking you're engaging in a normal back and forth. You know, you're mano a mano with somebody. It's like, no, actually, it's the guy behind the machine just pushing the button. You know, just basically just to keep you going.
So I did a video. It didn't get much traction on it with the whole thing, but I went a different route. And I know the instinct is to look at eBay and look at the auction houses.
I was secretly hoping somehow you could angle this into Michael Taylor. Go on.
No, I actually just lost an auction on Michael Taylor, but no.
Scandalous. The house bids. Go on.
I really wonder. Well, there is no wonder. You know it's happening.
Okay.
The live auctions, the whatnots, the districts, all of them. Because it got me thinking and diving down these rabbit holes and look at different things. All right.
Mhm.
I'm familiar with the district platforms, but they are a little unique in the sense that district is the website. It's
Sure.
the platform. And then it has a bunch of many market. Think of it as like a mall. And district is the structure of the mall. But then inside the mall, there's a bunch of little stores. All of the marketplaces are owned. Like you could own a marketplace, Eric could own a marketplace, I could own a marketplace. So when the discussion came out of bidding on your own items and stuff like that, and the morality or legality of that, it got me thinking because I've literally been in live, watching live auctions on district where the marketplace owners are in the auctions bidding the items up. Obviously, another owner of the marketplace might be the one running the live sale. And another owner, because some of them have multiple, like a group that'll be owning the marketplace. And it got me thinking because even if they're not winning the item, or even if they don't win the item, they have still, in a sense, drove the price up, which then benefits them as an owner because they are essentially then collecting seller fees just like eBay does. Because the marketplace owners are who sets the selling fees. District gets like the credit card processing or whatever, and the marketplace owners then set whatever percentage. So it's kind of, and the reason I'm bringing this up is it's kind of the same way with that auction house you were talking about. They're driving the price up. You don't know necessarily who you're even bidding against. But then right in plain sight, we have some of these online or live selling platforms that we're having people that either own a marketplace or what about on Whatnot if they're doing a break or something? How do we not know that? And I don't want to call out any specific names, but how do we not know that one of these breakers don't have a ghost in the background that's bidding to get the break prices up, for individual spots? We don't know.
Sure.
So, like, I get the avenue where it's gone, but I haven't heard a lot of talk about those. And those platforms are so damn popular and highly used now. God knows what chaos is ensuing over there. I mean,
Brandon, I
we
have no idea what
know.
you're talking about. I know for a fact that Whatnot is nothing but upstanding, fine citizens.
Oh,
We've
but
definitely
that was
not
my
talked about it
point.
ever.
We've been down paths with them. I can't imagine the shenanigans that are going on that we don't know about.
It's a Tesla. It's a Tesla, Eric. It's a
Yeah.
Tesla. Yeah. So anyway, bottom line, like I said, I wanted to make sure, Brandon. So I'm going to put a button on this one for now, but I wanted to make sure. I feel like this was a good kind of button for now. Again, I do reserve the right. If Beckett makes a part 4, I'm building the mega church.
Oh yeah.
The Contact Got mega church is happening. I'm warning you all. Don't test me on this. Do not, Brandon. I'm telling them, do not test me. I will do it. I will follow up. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description to it. Again, I'm not expecting everybody to keep track of all the story. That's why I wanted to. So I don't know. Was that helpful though? Having the visual of like the 3 phases, and I gave all the little pieces, and we went all the way through it, front to back, because some people may have only caught bits and pieces of that. So there was quite a bit. So the point is, it all kind of layered on, and then it got us to where we're at now, and that's the reason the story had as much staying power as it did. That's what was kind of funny about the whole thing. Is like, actually, there is a reason why it didn't just do the normal life cycle. because if it was the normal one, it would have been done weeks ago and we would have moved on. And I'm sure Geoff would have said something great. Eric would have been all over it. It would have been amazing. And we could have talked about that instead. But here we are.
Well, he is the GOAT.
Indeed. So real quick, I do have one more thing that I want to touch on before I get into my main topic. I did pass it along to you guys, but in case you didn't get a chance to see it, Eric, I have good news. This next story, it's a brief one. This next story is also about Jimbo Beckett. But it's a good one this time.
Nah, I don't doubt it.
It's a good one this time. It's a good one.
I doubt it.
Wow. The skepticism, Brandon. How far we've fallen. Eric used to be #1 employee over at Beckett HQ, and now the faith has been lost. This is tragic.
I don't even know
So
what
anyway.
my dad is.
Yeah. So anyway, I do actually, believe it or not, I'm not actually kidding. I do actually have a Beckett related topic, funny enough, from his podcast that I still think might be interesting. I'm including it. I'll briefly mention it, and I'll include a link in the description to it if you want to check it out. So this is episode 1459. It is the most recent episode. He is thankfully for himself moved on to a different topic. He is interviewing Rob Veras of Burbank Sports Cards. Now, the reason why this was interesting, Rob Veras obviously has a lot of different things to say. You know, I'm familiar with a lot of his work and follow quite a bit. But in this conversation, at about like 8 or 9 minutes in, they actually have a discussion about Rob Veras's previous. If you guys remember, this may be about a year ago. He had announced that Burbank was going to move off the eBay platform and get with Fanatics. Now, the reason why this is interesting, this is a little bit of an update on that, how it's been going and why it hasn't already happened. But also, in this conversation, Rob Veras specifically was giving a little bit of an explanation on a couple of things related to that. So actually, what I'd like to do, if you guys will indulge me for a moment, I want to play a little bit of this with you, just so that we can all listen to it. And like I said, so here's the thing. I give Beckett some flack where I felt it was appropriate. In this case, I think this was a useful conversation. But there are a couple of specific things that I want you to hear because I think it's very interesting. And it pertains to the Fanatics overlords and kind of what the plan was and the rationale for why he agreed to that exclusivity deal and everything, and some thoughts he has related to that. So I want to play a little bit of that with you. And again, full version in the description. You can listen to the whole thing front to back. I just think it's interesting, and I think it'd be worthwhile just including here. So I want to say it's maybe about just a little bit before 8 minutes in. Let me play it from here. I've sped it up slightly for you, but I want you to hear what he's saying.
Been better lately in the last year with team lots over player lots. The people like the mix of favorite players from their teams rather than just a whole bunch of cards of the same player. And so my thinking is if you have 100 Jose Cansecos, it goes to somebody that wants to flip them or I'm going to buy them and parse them out. But if it's 100 Oakland A's cards of that vintage that might have some Cansecos in there, they like that better and it sells better and it may even sell it for higher. And it might go to an end user, which I'm totally of that sentiment with you. Yeah, the work we do on Collectors Court, we have hundreds of thousands of cards by year and by sport. That's where those people can really take a deep dive in those types of things where you're not just getting a random 100 Oakland A's. You know what? You can look at 1974 tops and pull your Oakland A's. You can look through 2025 and find chrome of the Oakland A's. To me, anyways, that's a better experience. You're getting the actual cards you want and you have that sense of discovery, and just putting your hands on cards is vital. That's why we're not on eBay for the most part anymore, and our singles really aren't anywhere anymore. And to be honest, it's been a godsend since we've been here that we haven't had all that stuff on there, because eBay really at the end of the day isn't super profitable for us on the microtransactions. Those people in the back pulling orders have been in the showroom selling things that are far more money. Our average transaction is over $100 in the showroom, where on Beckett it might have been $8. Yep. And we're going to have that stuff online. It's going to anchor Fanatics Collect. It's super close to going live, where I'm not competing against 140 people on the same card. And if you can sell it for 99 cents in plain white envelope, you're going to get the sale, as opposed to someone that's $1.99 and not plain white envelope. I thought that was announced like a year ago, because I know you're a thorough guy and you got volume beyond comprehension, but what's going on there? Because I think that's going to be a breakthrough.
It's going to change my business forever. A lot of it was on Beckett's end, but more of it was on Fanatics' end, because they underestimated what it was going to take to revamp their platform. They weren't just using PWCC's platform. They were building a brand new one. And it took longer than they thought. Beckett isn't quick with anything or at the top of the technology chain. So we announced it at the National last year, and they've been paying me a lot of money to not sell cards, as they want to keep me whole in this whole situation.
Yeah.
So they've been writing some big checks. And
how can I get that deal?
Yeah, no kidding. Right? I love that.
Wow. How'd you do that?
You're losing $500,000 in revenue a month.
Wow.
Selling cards on eBay. And this was supposed to be done 10 months ago.
Yeah.
A good partner looks at that and says, you know what, this is on us. We need to take care of you on this. They didn't make me completely whole on this. I lost a lot of customers. I got a lot of cards that are sitting. But once it's done, Fanatics Collect, we'll be by ourselves on there. And that really is based on people selling more expensive cards. We're going to cover the entire long tail on that side, not compete on every single card. And then we'll be on Fanatics.
where, you bought a Mookie Betts jersey about these cards.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be on all the team sites. And there's 700 different affiliate sites that we're going to be on for cards. So it's worth the wait. And we've been able to build this place out with all of this labor that now has got moved to the showroom from the warehouse. And we've been able to build something that is unique. And now that it's pretty much the way I want it, we can take some of these people back to the warehouse and do more scanning, do more loading, do more everything.
So that is actually filling in some of the blanks, because if you remember, Eric, it's been a while since the original announcement discussion happened.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that Burrell had is, why would you agree to exclusive? Why would you pull it off eBay? And Rob very specifically answered that question. So that's why I wanted to play that clip for you, because in this case, explicitly, he gave, now whether you agree with his reasoning, disagree with his reasoning, whatever, he at least gave it. That was the part we were missing, because before we had the announcement, we didn't have the why. We didn't actually have the specifics of why did you, and it's also interesting the Fanatics overlords are cutting the check, which means the Fanatics overlords, Eric, have checks to cash, which I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Did I hear him correctly when he was saying in the beginning that selling on eBay wasn't very profitable? And then he proceeds to say, yeah, they're cutting me a check because I'm losing $500,000 a month not selling cards on eBay.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. All I can guess is that if you look into, running, Burbank, keeping the lights on, paying people, salaries,
Even just paying minimum wage in California, it costs him more money to send that 99-cent card than it's worth. He actually loses money on that card.
So that's all. I'm just trying to think. It's like, what could he mean by that? And it could mean that, yeah, I'm making $500,000 a month, but spending $400,000 a month. So I mean, so who knows? And if he can keep a little more in his pocket by going through Fanatics, that's why he's gonna do it, right?
So wait, is he defensively got someone in IT making Fanatics take longer to build out their website?
Yeah,
It's
right.
all about the defense. Defense
It's
wins
about the
championship
like
rounds.
we've talked about it in the games of sports, but we didn't connect it to the hobby sports side. Defense is very important.
It is. Could not be more important. We've learned that. So I'll leave a link in the description to that for you. I thought that specific snippet was interesting. So you see, Eric, Beckett's useful to us sometimes. That was a good. We had been waiting a year, Eric, for the explanation.
Yeah.
At least he gave us one.
Well, the thing that I heard in that really kind of got me is that. So he's collecting checks for not selling cards and stuff, but he's not on a platform. I mean, when was the last time you heard or came across Burbank Sports Cards, right? It's been a year since they left. I mean, you used to see them in all of your searches. If you looked up Mike Madonna and just, ending soonest, right? Just the name. I mean, you'd see Burbank. I mean, you have when you're a business, out of sight, out of mind is something to worry about.
Well, what's funny, Eric, is that what he's saying is not entirely true. They've got almost 82,000 items on eBay right now. So the reality is they're not off eBay. Now, I think what he's saying is not to really list new stuff, but there's just shy of 82,000 items on eBay as we speak. So there's still a lot of eBay items that they've got on there. I don't think they're adding new ones. I think what they're doing is clearing through what they got, and as they're selling it, they're just taking, obviously the lots are coming down, and then he's getting compensated on the other end based on what he just explained by the Fanatics overlords effectively to kind of keep him from adding more stuff. And then selling the rest through the store and through the other avenues. And I think, I could be mistaken, because he mentioned Beckett multiple times, I think they still have a presence in the Beckett marketplace. I know it's not a place a lot of people look, but there's actually a lot of cards hidden in the Beckett marketplace. I bought stuff from there before. It's not the greatest experience. It's really a bad experience, to be honest. The website's terrible. But you can find cards on there. So what's funny is sometimes, because it's so bad, if you're willing to kind of sift through the muck a little, I've found decent cards on there at decent prices. But you got to be willing to kind of, basically, you're rewarded for the extra work. If you're willing to do a little digging, sometimes you find some stuff on there that is not on eBay. So whoever has decided to put it up there, that's where they put it, and you can actually purchase it from there. So not the greatest, but like I said, if you're willing to sift through it sometime, you'd be shocked. I've found some decent stuff on there at reasonable prices, but you got to be willing to sift through the muck a little. So just some thoughts. So I just thought that really isn't like a big story that I wanted to spend too much time on, but I just thought I would share that because I did hear that was today's episode, and I thought that was interesting. They finally gave a little bit more of a fleshed out explanation as opposed to the original announcement, and we just hadn't heard anything in a year. And it is interesting that they're kind of he's being cut a check effectively to kind of keep it that way until they're ready. So we'll see. We'll see if they finally get that set up. So, all right, that's it for the newsy section. I think we're ready for something a little bit fun and open-ended. We'll keep it light, Brandon. We got to keep it positive. Got to keep it positive for the kids, you know? All right. So I wanted to talk about this because post-Expo, I've slowed down quite a bit on my purchasing. I did have a couple of cards that we included in the pickup section. So I started giving some thought. I spent a little bit of the last week or so doing a little bit of sorting. And actually, I brought this with me just to make the point. So I got I've had one of these things for a little while. I don't know if you guys seen this. Like these are like the BCW kind of deals. I like them because they hold the graded cards and they hold, top loaders and all kinds of stuff on there. It's got the handle and all that stuff. It's a plastic one. But I've been doing that to sort through, and I've actually reached the point with the dentist PC that it's filled this up completely. And I've got some other, so I've actually ordered 2 more of them. So what I'm doing is I'm starting to sort through a bunch of and they're stackable, which is nice, but I'm starting to sort through the stuff. And the point is I wanted to kind of have this put out of the way and be able to stack it and be able to organize it a little bit. So right now I'm at the point where, because I'm also kind of paying myself back. So at the expo, I bought a bunch of stuff, got some nice stuff, picked up some things. Now I'm kind of sitting back going, okay, I'm going to kind of wait until basically the new year. That means I will fall short on a couple of my goals. I have my goals and everything, but I'm just going to buy. I'm not going to just buy stuff for the sake of buying stuff. I'm trying to be a little bit picky. I'm still checking my save searches. If I see something really key, like top of the want list, I'm in, no question. But right now I feel like it's a good time to kind of hold back a little bit while I'm waiting for the bigger fish. And then at the same time, I'm trying to get through finally this pile of backlog that I've had for a while. And it's like, all right, I think now is the time to start. That's hence why I got 2 more of those things. So I can sort through those things and get them out of my way. And that way they're not sitting in a gigantic pile on my desk.
I got lots of those. A lot of piles right here.
Yeah. So that's my initial kind of thoughts and kind of things. So like I said, it doesn't mean I'm not going to get anything. It doesn't mean that I'm not at least keeping my eyes open. But at the same time, I am trying to kind of sit back and I'm basically trying to organize some of this stuff. I got those boxes for it. And I'm using myself with content. I'm using myself with other things. Right now it's just reloading the coffers. The coffers need a little bit of a reload after having a successful show, having a lot of fun. It was a mini vacation for me. But as we head into the holidays, Carlos's wallet has said no mas. A little bit of a breather is what it's asking for. So thoughts on kind of, year-end kind of thoughts and heading into next year and all that? How are we doing?
So I told you guys before we started recording here, I've actually been buying since we got back. And the reason is there is, in jokingly, I put the Post-it notes over, because there's a player I am going after to build a collection of, and he doesn't have a lot of stuff out, but he's starting to hit in products now. And so we've seen this in the past. I don't normally listen to myself. And being that this is somebody that I want to, build a collection of, I've been trying to pick up the pieces as they pop up. One thing that I will say that has been interesting, and I know that some of the baseball product hasn't had retail iteration yet, but the way that it looks like Fanatics has started breaking stuff down, they're doing a hobby version, a retail version, and a hanger version on a lot of the parallels, and I'm still not seeing a lot of the parallels pop up. I'm wondering if we're not seeing this squeeze and where a lot of the products not being opened. And I actually talked to my LCS yesterday. I stopped in there and asked them how it's been selling. And he's like, it's been okay, but pro debuts actually been selling better, which kind of makes sense for that area since they do have a minor league team in town. It's a minor league product. A lot of people like that. But I'm not spending like thousands of dollars, but I'm picking some stuff up, but I, just like you, I'm sorting and I'm prepping, because one thing that I wish, and obviously it was my first time there, obviously on the hockey collecting side, I'm still kind of in a narrow space of because of what I buy and who I buy and all of that. So I wish I had had a bigger list of things to target, because I think I could have been a little there might have been some other things that I might have picked up instead of just kind of, like I said, going into the bargain boxes and I was like, oh, these are cool. It's kind of like the squirrel brain. These are cool. And I bought some stuff that weren't originally in the plans to buy. And so one thing that I have started, and it was funny that you even brought this up before we went on, is I've started making a list. And I want, I've made actually a couple lists here. Some stuff that I have that I want to continue working on, and then some stuff that I want to kind of focus to try to complete, a couple sets and some other things. So I think this is a good time. We're closing out the year. We're going through the holiday season. And it's never a bad idea to set your focus. So
yeah, and that's basically part of the thought process behind what I was talking about is and I'll get your answer from you, Eric, is that part of the thought process is that things are going to slow down anyway, and even mail and all that usually is a little slower during the holidays as well. That's always a factor that you got to play into it. So because of that, I don't expect a big avalanche of things. Even as I'm picking up, I was able to pick up some stuff on ComC. I didn't share that this week. I'll share it next week, but nothing big, nothing crazy. But it's grabbing these little items and trying to fill them in. But like I know I'm going to miss a couple of my goals that I set for the year, but it's not like I missed them by a lot. I got close. One example that I'll give is that I put in there in my list of goals and everything. I said I wanted to be at 2,850 Medano cards. I kind of came up with that number. Right now I'm at 2,833, and I got a handful that are going to come in. So it's not like I'm miles off. I'm actually pretty close. It's not, and so it's not the end of the world. It's completely fine. So I'm not going to sit there and randomly go on a buying spree. Oh my God, I got to get to 28. It's fine. It's we'll restart again next year and we'll pick another number and we'll adjust accordingly. And some of the vintage sets didn't get as far along as I wanted them to, but I got a nice big old pile of 56 tops to sort through. So one of the sets that wasn't on the list, that wasn't one of the things that I was working on, but I'm going to have some upgrades. So that's cool. That's fine. So lots of stuff has been accomplished this year, hobby-wise anyway. So it's like, that's perfectly fine. Some of the other goals will be met. Some of them will be falling short. And the one other thing I was going to mention is that obviously I expand a lot of I collect a lot of different things. I'm not stuck in one bucket. And I was showing like this box and everything with the Dennis PC and the wrestling cards. I've had a lot of fun doing videos on the wrestling channel. And it's been very good, kind of separate. And when I do my year-end kind of review, those videos are also videos I've done. I've done like 150, 160 videos on this channel and like another 40 videos on that channel. Brandon, that's 200 videos this year. That has been a very successful, prolific year of making videos over the two channels and everything. And we do have one new product that's going to be coming out this week, actually. So I've pre-ordered a box. So again, even though I'm not like making big purchase, I pre-ordered a box. I'll probably grab one for release day. I'll open up a box on release day. I still like opening boxes. It's still fun for me, but I'll open a couple. And then I'll show off kind of what I get on the video, and then that'll be it for the box breaks for this year.
Quick question, because you mentioned the pre-order thing, and
Sure.
I don't want to go off topic here.
Yeah.
But is Upper Deck providing checklists and everything prior to posting pre-orders? Because I don't know what in the hell Fanatics.
Well, the pre-order is the shop. The pre-order is the shop, but yes, they do usually give before release date. They will usually give us a checklist a week or two before.
Yeah, see, Tops and Fanatics, they went on this little kick here now that they're posting all these pre-orders and they're not posting checklists. Like I seen today that Heritage High Number. Again, I was just talking about a baseball player that I'm going after. I was wanting to see, is he going to be in Heritage High Number? No checklist. And it's like, why in the hell do y'all keep putting these pre-orders out and we don't even know what is in the product? Like, I'm not a big fan of that. And I thought maybe it was just one time they slipped up or posted the wrong one or whatever. Now it's just, they're not even posting it. So I don't like that.
I wonder if, and this is just something I'm throwing out, and we can discuss it more down the road if we come up with some more things related to it. I wonder if the fact that Fanatics is its own distributor is also creating some problems. Because Upper Deck
I
uses
don't know.
distributors. So in reality, they have to have the product basically into distributors' hands before the release date. And they'll usually have the checklists, and they'll usually do the final preview cards, which is actually images from basically the factory. So they'll literally show you what the actual cards look like, not just the mock-ups. And we get those a week or two before release as well. So we usually have those ready to go, and then we can do the final checklist review. So I did a video on the channel where I went over the checklist. So I've already done that video, and it releases this week. So I did that last week. So even during the expo, that checklist was ready to go, and I was able to show some pictures of the real cards along with the checklist. So I was able to do both those things, and then the release week is this week.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with them, but it's getting a bit frustrating. And personally, I mean, I wouldn't pre-order a product if I didn't know what the hell was going to be in it.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just weird that they went this route where now it seems like every time they're putting pre-orders out, there's nothing to go on. There's no odds, there's no checklist, there's no nothing. But yet they're putting up the pre-order. And I mean, I guess credit to them because people are buying it still, but I don't particularly care for that. Like,
Sure. Sorry, a question for you. So same question I asked Brandon. Plans here for the end, sorting through the boxes, calling your lawyer about reclaiming your chocolate sticks that were forcibly stolen from you. What's the plan? What's
I
happening?
think that's going to be the top on the agenda because I don't think that's very fair. I kind of have a boring answer. I'm just going to keep, heading in the same direction, working on Bruins team sets for, from the beginning of time to 1990. I picked up, tons of, there's 51s, there's 66s, so that's kind of the thing I'm into right now is putting together Bruins team sets. And, now that it's been a year now that, Brad was again 5% more mature because it's Monday, Tuesday viewing. Since I was gifted the Orr rookie, so now I can put together that 66. It's like I didn't bother trying to put together the 66 because what was the point, right? So, so now I'm doing that and trying to put together as many other years of Bruins team cards as I can. So I'm doing that. And of course, there's always trying to get more knickknacks and oddball items.
Did you put the puzzle together yet?
No, because remember what's cool about this puzzle, it's not opened. This is
what if there's mayonnaise inside that jar?
That's not funny. So it's new old stock, as they say. So I don't have any goals. Just keep chugging along.
Neither do the Bruins.
Boy, I tell you, it's been a tough night. I almost think it's Friday. I almost think it's Friday. There's the whole Marcel stuff to start the show, the Bruins bashing. Now,
Eric, you better be careful because remember, Brandon's already made reference multiple times during this show of checking his list. Look at that beard. Think of the time of year it is. I bet he's checking his list twice. I bet he's trying to find out who's naughty or nice. I think he's baiting your ass. I think that's what's happening right now. He's trying to get you.
I was nice about Jason Robertson, and I'm trying to be 5% more mature because it's Monday, but I just don't feel as if everyone is trying.
I feel like this is Kris Kringle entrapment is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
I won't. Since you're saying that you're being mature, I won't go into the details of the message that was sent pre-show.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
I don't have to be 5% more mature in the text thread.
Indeed. Okay, so I wanted to kind of finish off on that. So here's my engagement question for all of you. So number one, hopefully you enjoyed my Cole's Notes rundown of the thing to get you all caught up. Feel free to check out in this case, I'm going to have a lot of links for you. So again, all optional. This is just if you're interested in getting a little more detail. I gave you guys the really high level 60,000 foot view just to give you, a summary. I think I covered the main aspects of it, Eric. I think we got the main key points. If somebody hadn't caught up on a lot of the other stuff, at least with that, hey, you at least got the main key points you need to know. There was a lot going on those couple of weeks again, and now you don't necessarily have to check anything else out. If you want a little more detail on a couple of those things, 2 of the specific pieces got broken down on this channel. Piece by piece, went over all of it. On the lives, we went over it. Dan was there this past Friday. We talked about a lot of stuff, but we also talked about some of that. Got a little clarification, some of those things. So we've covered it. It's been extensively covered on the channel, so it's been included in there. And also, in the comment section, feel free. You'll see the community post. So participate in the Silly Card of the Week. We want you to vote for it. And then also, do you have any plans here for the end of the year? Anything you're looking to pick up at the very end here to kind of close something off? Are you almost getting to a set? Do you want to finish that? Or are you in full sorting mode, hibernating for the winter as you kind of prepare yourself so that you're not sitting in a mess of piles of cards heading into the new year, or something else? It could be anything, but even a boat. So let us know.
I'll just add to mine is going through this box that's sitting here, and what I think would be entertaining. Putting stuff on Instagram, and showing off some of the pickups from Toronto, to the stuff that seems entertaining, like, Maurice Richard PSA card or whatever. That's got to take forever, because I don't post every single day. I don't post multiple times a day, and some people do, and that's great. I don't. So it's going to take a while to go through this box, and I always like to, type some stuff up. I don't think everybody reads it all, but I don't like to look at people's Instagram stuff, and it's just the pictures and either nothing written or like one sentence. I like to add a little something, and for those who want to read it, they can read it. And
are you suggesting, Eric, that in your Instagram post you're leaving terms and conditions?
I'm leaving terms and conditions in the fine print. So, I don't do it every day, and I try to have them well thought out and whatever. So it's going to take a while to go through this box and these piles. So I think I'll be doing that for the rest of the year.
Indeed. So on that bombshell, we give you a nice succinct episode this week, so hopefully you enjoyed. We did cover a little bit of ground there. Links in the description to anything that you might want to check out. Again, it's optional, but if there is some of that stuff you want a little more detail on, that is where you're going to be able to get it. And I'm also linking to that video from 3D80's Kid where he breaks down some of those auctions, in case you're curious, because he actually created, like I said, an Excel spreadsheet, which broke down a couple of those different things, gave you some of that information. So it's nice to have just as a reference, just as a reason. And by the way, if some of that changes, of course, then some of that stuff will need to get updated. But if it does change, then at least some change came out of the whole thing. So there you go. There's at least be some benefit if that's the case. And if you're learning a little bit about it, then it's not a bad thing. Real quick, I didn't mention it earlier in the video, but I'll finish up at the end. We always thank AMG for supporting the channel and the podcast. And this week, we will be back with a podcast episode. I'll be there with the Collective Scallops. And this week is going to be 25-26 Upper Deck Black Diamond. So 25-26 Upper Deck Black Diamond Hockey. That is going to be the new one, the release out there. We'll show you some of the cards. We'll go through the breakdown as we usually do. I've got some cards that came in the shop from the last couple of weeks that I didn't get to share last week, so I'll get a chance to share some of that with you. And we'll do the whole rundown on the whole thing. We'll see if Blair joins us as well, but it's usually a fun time if you want to check out that podcast episode. And last week we did a little bit of Expo stories, so you can check out that one previously as well. And in this week, it'll be mostly focused on Black Diamond. So we thank AMG for supporting the channel and the podcast. Thank you all for checking it out. Hit the like button. Leave some comments. Let us know what you think about some of this stuff. Eric Sanderson or on the Instagram. Send all your hate mail there. Brandon Baubles and Ball Cards, known associate of 540 Flips. And currently calming down on the Jason Robertson pump just in time for the Jason Robertson pump.
It's nice when you don't have to do it yourself.
Uh-huh. Hashtag rigged. Now you know. All right, folks. Have yourself a good one. We'll catch you in the next episode.